Chairperson Friedman, you're good to go.
Great. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Pharaoh CPAC meeting. This is Chair Friedman, and I'll call this meeting to order and hand it over to our clerk of the board, Darrell Johnson, to do roll call.
Yes, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. Member Bowman?
Present.
Member Starkovic? I think you're muted there. Member Starkovic?
This is Misha Starkovic, not Arthur Starkovic. I'm not a member.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I mean, this happens frequently. Art and I used to work together at SMUD, so I have experienced this before.
Got it. Okay. Member Walter? Just unmute you there. Member Walter? Member Wood?
Here.
And Member Friedman?
Present.
Okay. So we still, wait, no, we don't. Member Walter, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here. I apologize. I had the sound off on my computer.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so now we do have 4 and we do have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. Member Wood, would you be able to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as per our tradition?
I would love to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So we'll skip formal introductions since we did our roll call. I'll just make a few quick announcements. We are, of course, recording this meeting, as you can see if you're on the broadcast. The CPAC is a recommending body, not a final deciding body, and all members are volunteer members and members of the Fair Oaks community. For each item on the agenda, we'll follow the order of operations that the county will present first, followed by the CPAC members asking questions of the county if there are any. Following that, the applicant will present, and the CPAC members will have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant. Following that, if there is any public comment, we'll start with 3 minutes for public comment for each individual who would like to ask questions. Those questions should be directed to CPAC members rather than directly to the applicant. And then the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to those questions. And following that, there will be some CPAC discussion and a recommendation made on each item. So we have just one primary item on the agenda tonight. So I'll hand that over to the clerk of the board to read that item in for the record.
This is Darrell with the clerk of the board, and I'm also just going to read the announcement really quickly. This meeting is live streamed and temporarily closed to in-person public participation. The clerk's office is in the process of hosting hybrid public meetings that will provide board members and members of the public with the option to participate in the meeting either in person or remotely. Thank you for your patience and your support. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2501 to provide your contact information. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be contacted by phone and transferred into the meeting to make their public comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed into the record. And that concludes my announcements. And on to item number 1. It's going to be the Fair Oaks Water District Corporation Yard renovation. This was continued from August 30th, 2021. It was item number 1. And this is located at 10326 Fair Oaks Boulevard in the Fair Oaks community. And this is a request for a development plan review and special development permit.
And as a reminder for our, thank you, Darrell. As a reminder for our CPAC members, we heard this item previously and it was continued to this meeting. There have been some updates, and it looks like Kimber is here to make some announcements and a presentation on this item. Is that right?
Yes. Hi. Good evening.
Hi.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Hi, my name is Kimber Gutierrez. I am the lead planner for this project for Sacramento County. I am going to give a brief introduction, but then I'm actually going to turn it over to the applicant to kind of update everyone on the efforts that they have made since the last CPAC meeting. So if We can pull up the presentation. I think I have one introduction slide.
We're going to just pull that up. Just
Okay.
one moment.
No problem. Perfect. Yeah, we'll just stay on this one and then I'll turn it over to Tom. But so just to kind of go over the details of the request again to refresh everyone's memory, it is a development plan review. The project is located within the Fair Oaks Village Special Planning Area. So the development plan review would be to allow a 16,390 square foot new building up to 30 feet tall, and a 1,680 square foot, 23 foot tall annex structure, as well as other site improvements for the existing Fair Oaks Water District Corporation Yard. The special development permit is to allow the annex structure, carport, car wash bays, and trash enclosure to be located approximately 4 feet from adjacent existing residential uses, which is deviating from the SPA standards for the location of buildings. So to just introduce it, the project was presented to the CPAC on July 7th via teleconference. Just to refresh everyone's memories, the CPAC members did question and share concern over the minimal amount of public outreach that was done prior to the CPAC meeting. There was also concerns about the logistics of public access to the parking lot, the setback deviation and close proximity of the structures to adjacent residents, and the architectural compatibility of the buildings to the surrounding area. We did receive one verbal comment during the meeting from one of the north adjacent property owners who was opposed to the proximity of the accessory structures to the property line. So after discussion and at the request of the applicant, the CPAC did vote to continue the item to the August 30th CPAC meeting to allow the applicant to conduct additional public outreach. So during that time, the applicant has been conducting outreach, and at the August 30th CPAC meeting, we did request that the project be continued again to the October 6th meeting. So tonight's meeting to allow the applicant more time to conduct that outreach. So I will let the applicant take it from here, but since that July 7th CPAC meeting, the applicant has conducted outreach in a variety of different manners and has prepared a presentation for you all. They also have revised their materials, so I will let them go over those details as well.
So I think we're on. Good evening, CPAC members, county staff, and members of the public. My name is Tom Gray. I'm the general manager of the Fair Oaks Water District. And we're happy to come back before the CPAC and do an updated presentation. So with that, can I have the next slide, please? And this is just the introduction. And next slide, please. So the presentation we're going to give you, and we'll just briefly hit on some items. We're going to give you just a brief bit about the district, the project site history, the project need, project scope, and most importantly, on our feedback, the customer outreach and customer feedback, and then the Fair Oaks Water District's response to the customer feedback that we received since the July CPAC meeting. And very specifically, we'll go over the Vinichok Lane, that's our direct neighbors impacts, and district public service goals. And then we'd be happy to answer any and all questions. Next slide, please. About the district. The Fair Oaks Water District is a fee-for-service special district operating in the county of Sacramento. Our revenues come directly from water sales, and we receive no tax money. So what that means in general is the Fair Oaks Water District could only spend ratepayer money on water-related projects. Next slide, please. Given the rules and regulations of the Fair Oaks Water District operations, the primary benefits of the Corporation Yard redevelopment project must be related to the mission of the district. And this is very important. All other public benefit must be residual to the project and therefore must have very little financial or operational impact. The Fair Oaks Water District Board of Directors, the management of the districts, we work very hard to do residual benefit to our community. You're our friends, neighbors, and we're a part of the community. But we have to do that in a manner that we use ratepayer money primarily for water needs. Next, please. The project site history. The Fair Oaks Water District purchased a site. It's about 1.6 acres in 1979 from the Diamond International Company, which previously used the facility as a lumber yard. The site's main building is a heavy timber structure reportedly built in the 1920s or 30s. The current facility is nearly 100 years old, and it's in dire need of an uplift, facelift. Next slide. Over the more than 40 years that the Fair Oaks Water District has owned the site, the district has made minor renovations to the building and property to accommodate changed conditions and to repair flood damage. So we've been here about 40 years and we haven't done any major improvements. Next slide, please. The project need. There are drainage and flooding problems. The current site slopes towards the main building with the existing drainage infrastructure being inadequate during heavy rain periods, causing water to frequently drain into the building. Prior to doing water, I did development. I've never seen a building quite like this where the drainage drains, the site drains towards the building, and there's V gutters and gutters right up along the building. So in a heavy rain event, those gutters overflow right into the building. And the one picture, the first picture there, was actually taken in July, and there was a little bit of water in the building. Next, please. The existing restrooms do not comply with current ADA accessibility codes. The counters and doorways throughout the building are not ADA accessible. Next, please. Continuing project need. Preliminary structural investigations indicate the building does not meet current building codes, including seismic or wind load requirements. And you can see these are just two pictures of, you know, it's truly not up to code and puts our employees at risk. Next, please. Project need. The existing office space is inadequately ventilated, worn, and poorly lit. Next, please. The ceiling in the main building is not sealed. It's just a facade, allowing external dust to settle into the building interior, office spaces, computers, and aerospace. And because of this, animals routinely reside inside the building and on the site, resulting in frequent flea infestations that impact our staff. Over the years, and in the last year in particular, there were 2 instances where feral cats had kittens inside the walls of the building, and we had to break into the walls to free those newborn kittens from inside the building. Along with that, we routinely get skunks coming through the building, raccoons, and with that, every year, and so far 4 times this year, we've had to completely fumigate the building because of our employees being impacted by fleas. Next, please. Project need, and probably, you know, more important to the community is the existing site cannot be maintained in a manner that makes it an asset to the Fair Oaks Village. We believe that our people and our service is an asset to the Fair Oaks Village, but the way that we are our presence in the village, given the 100-year-old facility, there's not a lot more we could do with the existing structures. Next, please. The project scope. The Fair Oaks Water District is planning a major renovation of its courtyard, and the purpose is to increase the quality of public service, to accommodate internal needs, and again, important I think to the CPAC, is to enhance our presence in the Fair Oaks Village. Next, please. Continuing the project scope, in general, the intended outcome of the project is to replace the existing site infrastructure with safer, more efficient, and aesthetically pleasing upgrades in a cost-efficient manner. The existing site function will not change, the employee count will not change, and traffic impacts are estimated at 0. We're not looking to expand our operations, just to maintain them and upgrade the facilities. Next, please. The project status. The project is currently in the planning and preliminary stage. Therefore, any and all comments received on the project are relevant and timely. So the recent extensive public outreach we did was still timely because we can incorporate those comments into the project. Next, please. Customer outreach. At the July 7, 2021 CPAC meeting, it was clear that both the public and council thought the public outreach completed to date was poor. And very clearly, without making any excuses, the Fair Oaks Water District management agreed with the assessment of the project's outreach to date. And we set out on a mission to exceed the expectations of both our customers and the council. Next, please. The following documents were developed for immediate public distribution after the July 7th CPAC meeting. A written summary of the project for use at all meetings for mass distribution to anybody that may have interest in the project was developed. A written announcement for a public workshop scheduled for August 18th, 2021 was developed and mass distribution made. Next, please. And this is just not a total outline, but a brief outline. There's more, but this outline was a customer outreach plan and items that were completed since the July 7th meeting. We had a discussion and distributed materials at the Fair Oaks Village Enhancement Committee meeting. We posted documents that we developed on the Fair Oaks Water District website. We posted the developed documents outside of the Fair Oaks Water District Administration Building. We added the documents to the county sign posted at the project location as takeaways. So the county has the project sign at the site. We put one of the document boxes, much like a real estate sign would have, and we posted, or we included and refilled the materials on the project at that sign. We sent all the developed documents to the Fair Oaks Water District email distribution list. We did a presentation at the Fair Oaks Community Action Partners meeting. We hand delivered door-to-door items from 1 and 2, or the documents developed, to our project neighbors. We distributed the documents to Fair Oaks Chamber members. On August 10th, we had a meeting with the Village Oaks Lane neighborhood members. So that's the members impacted the most that are directly north of the project. And since then, we had a follow-up meeting with them, so a second meeting. We did a presentation at the August 9th Fair Oaks Water District Board meeting. And on August 18th, after all the advertising we did, we had a community workshop hosted at the Fair Oaks Water District office. On August 23rd, we did a presentation to the Fair Oaks Rotary Club, and we are here tonight at the CPAC as a follow-up. So that's a lot, but not all of the outreach we did since the July 7th CPAC. Next, please. And feedback that we received, both from the original CPAC meeting and also from all the outreach we did. Public outreach for the project was poor. Fair Oaks Water District should move the corporation yard outside of the village. Fair Oaks Water District should add more parking to the village. The Spanish eclectic style does not fit into the Fair Oaks Village. Next, please. Continued customer feedback. The Spanish eclectic style will dominate the Fair Oaks Village. Fair Oaks Water District did not follow through on promises made to the public when the administration building was approved. The building that we built in 2006 through 2009. Next, please. So now I'd like to provide the Fair Oaks Water District response to the public outreach comments. Outreach for the project was poor. Fair Oaks Water District agreed, and it is a hope of the Fair Oaks Water District management that the documented actions since July 7th have exceeded the expectations of our customers and the CPAC members. I'll await to hear from you later. Next. The Fair Oaks Water District should move the courtyard outside of the village. After over going on 17, 18 years now, of serving the community of Fair Oaks as a Fair Oaks Water District General Manager, I've never been presented with a proposal for relocating the courtyard. There's been discussion. There was discussion about the courtyard when Fair Oaks looked at incorporating, but never have I ever received a proposal of any type. And the Fair Oaks Water District's projects, both our admin building and the proposed project of the courtyard, represent the largest investments in redevelopment of the village special planning area. Next. The Fair Oaks Water District should move the courtyard outside of the village. The reality is, assuming a rezone and extensive permitting would be required to locate the courtyard within the community of Fair Oaks, the additional cost would result in unnecessary financial impact to the Fair Oaks Water District ratepayers. Everything we do has to be in accordance with our mission. And if we were to work with the community and find a piece of property within Fair Oaks that possibly could work, you guys know the development process, the extensive permitting, the rezoning, etc., and the investment before we would even turn one shovel of dirt would be extensive, and it would be an unnecessary impact to water ratepayers. Next, please. The Fair Oaks Water District should add more parking to the village. The preliminary project design for the courtyard results in the following: up to 11 parking spaces available to the public during non-work hours, up to 24 parking spaces available to the public during weekend special events. I think those are significant. Next slide, please. And there was discussion, what would that look like? What is represented in pink would be the parking that would be available after normal working hours for the district. So after 5 o'clock. And then in addition to that, the parking that is highlighted in the bluish color would be additional parking that we could open up for special events when requested. Next slide, please. So in response to the parking issue, the Fair Oaks Water District has and will add more parking to the village special planning area. Combining the parking of our admin building and this project results in the Fair Oaks Water District being responsible for up to 38 parking spaces available to the public during non-work hours. So after 5 o'clock on work days and available on weekends. and up to 51 parking spaces made available to the public during weekend special events. I don't know of any other public entity or even business in the village area that has added this significant of parking. And as I sit here right now, there's an event going on in the village park, and I counted there was 12 cars parked in our parking lot where I sit right now for that event. Routinely, after 5 o'clock, workers from the Shangri-La and the Brahma restaurants park in our parking lot so that they could attend work in the evening. And last Friday, I took some pictures. Our west parking lot was totally full of workers from the local restaurants. Next, please. The Fair Oaks Water District should add more parking to the village. It's very important on behalf of the Fair Oaks Water District Board of Directors that we clearly note that providing parking to the public or providing parking to the Fair Oaks Village is secondary to the mission of the Fair Oaks Water District. Though important to the Fair Oaks Water District as a neighbor and friend to the village, any significant or ongoing negative issues with public parking will result in restricting it to use to accomplishing only the mission of the Fair Oaks Water District. We allow parking after hours and when we don't need it, and we believe that's good, and as a public service, we can do that. But on occasion, we have abandoned cars. On occasion, we have improper activity in cars on our property. And we deal with it. But if it were to get excessive, if we have cars parked here during normal business hours so we can't do our business, we'll have to start working with the community to limit it. We haven't had those issues, but we want to be very clear that providing parking to the village is secondary to our mission of providing water to the community. Next, please. The Spanish eclectic style does not fit into the Fair Oaks Water or the Fair Oaks Village. During the extensive public outreach we did in 2007 for the administration building, it was understood that the conceptual design scheme selected would also be used for the redevelopment of the Fair Oaks Water District site located across the street, with the community clearly expressing the Spanish eclectic design concept best represented the community of Fair Oaks and the Fair Oaks Village. We did extensive outreach, and I could name community leaders that attended our meetings, and they selected the Spanish eclectic style moving forward for the village. Next, please. The Spanish style will dominate the village. The public determined the Spanish eclectic style concept also tied into the existing architectural expression of the buildings that made up the village center, including the theater building and the community clubhouse, stating that the proposed concept has a modest presence and an old town look, which the public felt was important. And since then, as the Fair Oaks Park and Recreation District has been awarded their bond and they're doing work, they're working to enhance the public outreach and the public statements that were made when we did this outreach. Next, please. The Fair Oaks Water District did not follow through on promises made when we built the administration building. 1, the Fair Oaks Water District did not provide public parking. It is true that the Fair Oaks Water District does not provide 24/7 access to our administration building parking lot. But we do, as I outlined, allow public parking after normal business hours and on weekends when the village needs the parking the most. There was some pushback that we have signs that say no parking but for Fair Oaks Water District business, and that impedes public use of our facilities. We've talked with the community, we've talked with the chamber, and people that are involved in the community of Fair Oaks, and especially the village, understand that currently we don't enforce those ordinances or the towing or the limiting of parking after normal business hours and on weekends. And we, in discussing with our neighbors and some of the village representatives, by doing that, people in Fair Oaks and people in the village understand and use that parking. If we put signs up that say that it's open to everybody when we're not during not normal business hours, it'll be dominated by others that come to the village, and it won't be there available for the workers at Shangri-La and at Brahma and others. Next, please. The Fair Oaks Water District did not follow through on promises. One of the statements, Fair Oaks did not provide use of facilities to the public. When we built this building, we stated that the new facilities could be seen as the Fair Oaks location for public government. Fair Oaks Water District routinely hosts local government meetings. We routinely hosted the Board of Supervisors community meetings, Omnibera, Ted Gaines. It goes on and on. We have hosted many of those meetings here, and we continue to do so. But what we didn't do is open up our facilities and our boardroom for public birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, for renting out. And we can't do that because it takes staff to do that. And that's not part of our mission. But we do and have always made it available for public government. Next, please. Now, very important from the last CPAC meeting, and because of our lack of outreach, the Vinichok Lane impacts. That's our neighbors that are directly to the north of us. In discussions and meetings with them, they were concerned about visual impacts, noise impacts, dust impacts, keeping the existing walnut tree that's on our property, but they find value in. Home value impact, and then, very bluntly, a request to move our material storage to a different location. Next, please. So relative to the visual impacts, in an attempt to mitigate visual impacts to those neighbors, revisions were completed. The proposed structure heights were increased from 18 feet to 23 feet, and that was in stepping on their property and looking. They looked directly in to the activity on our site and would continue to do so. And we negotiated and we talked with them, and we looked and we did some measurements, and by increasing the height of our structures, 23 feet, it gives them a barrier from looking directly into our site. And when you look over the 23 feet, it starts to look beyond our site and across the way. We added screening panels to structures facing the northern property line, and trees are proposed to be planted in consultation with the neighbors on their property. Next. Next, please. The noise impacts, in an attempt to mitigate those. All proposed structures were relocated, and we tried to go at least 10 feet from the northern property line. The special use permit was 4 feet. We ended up, we had it at 10, and we're ending up at 8 feet from the property line. So twice as far as the original plan that came to CPAC in the original proposal. All material bins were redesigned with full walls on the back and front sides, so totally enclosed except for where we access them in the front. A partial rear barrier was added to all parking structures along the northern property line. Next, please. Dust impacts, an attempt to mitigate. All proposed structures were relocated. It's 8 feet from the northern property line. All material bins were redesigned with full walls. And in addition to that, misters will be added to all the material bins to dampen dust. Next, please. Keep the existing walnut tree. We tried every different design we possibly could. And it specifically not only the neighbors, but Pharaoh Water District board members really wanted to keep a mature tree on our site. But due to the removal of existing utility infrastructure and the installation of required drainage facilities, we just couldn't save the tree. In an attempt to mitigate that, proposed structure heights were increased in that area also, and a large replacement tree is proposed to be planted in a neighbor's yard with consultation with them if they want it. Next, please. Relocate the material bins. This was a hard one. The design proposed for this project is a positive impact to the maximum number of Fair Oaks Water District or Fair Oaks community members by shielding the more industrial activities of the site from Fair Oaks Boulevard, which then results in the concerns of the Vinichok Lane neighbors. So the design benefits the community the most, but directly impacts our adjacent neighbors. In an effort to mitigate these concerns, and it's real, they're impacted for the benefit of the whole community. It is our goal to provide a net result that improves upon Fair Oaks Water District's current impact on them. So in meeting with the Vinichok Lane neighbors, we admitted that some of the activities in the design impacts them the most. But when we're done, we're hoping that our net impact results in being better than how we impact them currently. Next, please. So quickly, here's an aerial view of the north property line. You'll see that the height of the structure, you see the sides of the bins and the rear are totally enclosed. And you'll see that there's a partial wall along the covered parking that shields that from the view of our neighbors. Between the redwood fence and this, they can't see any of it. Next, please. Increase the material height bin. You see to the right, there's a sloped roof. It was a flat roof at 18 feet. To mitigate just having a wall right up against some of the neighbors there, we actually sloped it from rear to the front from 18 feet to 23 feet. Next, please. Adding the partial rear panel to the parking structure. This gives you a better visual of it. So the top is hidden and noise dampened, and then the opening is has the retaining wall and the redwood fence. So it ultimately is totally screened from our northern neighbors. Next, please. This gives you a rendering of the enclosure of the material bins. Since the last CPAC, we added sidewalls and rear walls, and I will remind you, then the misters will come in also. Next, please. And here, this is just a view we provided to the neighbors so they could see there was a large walnut tree in this corner, and this is what it'll look like with that tree removed, and the increased height of 23 feet. Next, please. And here's that same area with a large tree that we would plant for the neighbors, and it over time maturing. Next, please. And we're nearing the end, the public service goals of the district. The goal of the Fair Oaks Water District is to provide high quality and reliable water to our customers while maintaining a reputation for outstanding customer service. We will continually strive to work in our community's interest, modeling integrity, honesty, dependability, enthusiasm, and professionalism. And I hope both the CPAC members, the county staff, and importantly, our customers see that where we might have fell short initially on this project, we're trying to step up our game and live our goals for outstanding customer service. Next, please. And just a visual of the proposed Fair Oaks Village investment this project is intending to make. And finally, next, please. We are open to questions. And we have our Fair Oaks Water District Courtyard project before you. We care about our customers. We care about rates. We care about the village, and we're here to listen to you. Thank you very much, and we're open for questions.
Thank you very much. That's certainly a very thorough presentation, and for me, it really helped paint a picture of the urgency for the need for these improvements. So I appreciate that, and I think we're all certainly appreciative of the outreach that you have undertaken for this project and incorporated into the project. And also recognize that you are good members of the community and do go above and beyond the mission that you have as an organization to support the community. So wanted to thank you for that. I'll now see if we have any questions from our CPAC members. We'll go, I guess, alphabetical. Member Bowman, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, and I don't think we had any members join. So, member,
sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. I was just going to say that member Lease and member Starkovic joined as of 6:36. So just
okay, great.
They are
so, member Lease, do you have any questions?
No, I think they explained everything real well. So, and I think they've done a pretty good job with this now. So,
yeah. Member Starkovic?
Yeah, it was very, very thorough. It looks like all the individual comments since the last meeting have been addressed very well. And I think the 3 issues, was it 3 issues? I asked county staff that had come up at the July meeting. I believe those were, let's see, the outreach, the style, something else, but I believe those were addressed as well. Thank you.
Okay, member Walter?
No questions at this time.
And member Wood?
Yeah, I did have a question, and thank you for the additional outreach that you've done. That's difficult to do under these circumstances, and it shows real effort. And I understand you're feeling a little bit like Charlie Brown with the football, with the architectural style questions, but it's one thing, 10 years ago to have something proposed, and then under the current situation with what's going on with the amphitheater, and then you're building on top of it. Did you look at any other architectural styles? And personally, I love Spanish Revival, but something maybe a little bit more towards territorial or bungalow kind of, but just something to give a little bit more variety to the village.
No, we didn't look at the bungalow style or any styles like that. Part of what we did look at it was a bit more industrial to save money for our ratepayers, and that didn't fly well both with our board and with the community. So we fell back on the community outreach that we did, which was extensive. And we also kind of felt like when we did the administration building, we partially entered into a contract with the village to continue that style across the street.
Did you consider anything other than stark white for the color of the building?
Yes, and I think the renderings come across stark white, but I believe it's more muted than the renderings come across.
There are many shades of white.
Yeah, and I again, the attempt is to match our administration building. So if that gives you a little more comfort.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking maybe something even more in the beige tones or, something a little different. You could go nice bright colors too, but that would be a little glaring. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is Chair Friedman. I didn't have any questions at this time. Just appreciate the presentation and the work that you did. We now can see if there are any public comments. I think we had started with 3 minutes for each public comment, if there are any.
Yes, this is Darrell, the clerk of the board. I believe that we have just received one, so just give me one moment to double check that and get the person on the line. Just give me one moment.
Okay, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. I do have the public commenter on the line.
Yeah, hello.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to need you to mute the meeting in the background, and you're going to have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us get in. My name is Fred Class, and my wife is Peggy Plett, and we reside on the far northwest corner of the property, and for about 100 feet or so adjacent to the project. I wanted to start off by complimenting Tom on his outreach since the last CPAC meeting. He's been talking to us on several occasions, and the plans that he just showed you are a vast improvement over what we were initially presented with, which was very much to our disliking, to put it mildly. I think in the end, the plan that they have under consideration is potentially going to be a net benefit to us. we still have one topic I think we want to talk through a little bit more, which would just be the materials for the roofing that would be facing our property, but it's a relatively minor point. I think the district's come a long way in trying to meet our concerns. I want to say this in the full spirit of cooperation and working together, not to sound like a confrontation or complaint exactly, but for the record, we did not receive word of this meeting until literally minutes before it was about to begin. We didn't get a notice from the CPAC, and we didn't get a notice from the district. As it turned out, we got in, we heard the presentation, and we now have an opportunity to make comments. But, you know, it continues to be a point of concern for us that these things are happening, and only if we're lucky and catch it at the last minute, which was the case at the last meeting as well. But having put that on the record, I just want to close with saying again that Tom's done a great job. The district has been very accommodating. I think from our perspective, this is going very much the right direction. We do have another neighbor who's impacted. Their primary concern was the large walnut tree. They were unable at the last minute to chime in and get online for a comment. So I don't know exactly what they would say. I think it's fair to say that they certainly appreciated the outreach, and I'm sure they'll let Tom know if they have continuing concerns beyond the plan that's been presented. So with that, I would close, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. This is Chair Friedman. I'm just wondering, Jarrell, would you be able to look into if the class's address is on the public notice in case there are really any future projects, and just to confirm if they had been noticed for this? And not to do that right now while we're on the
I can check into that unless Kimber by chance might have that information in front of her.
I was just gonna say, so since this item was continued from the previous meeting, we do not re-notice for continuance. So at the July 7th meeting, we did the CPAC continued the item to the August 30th meeting, and then at the August 30th meeting, we continued it again to the October 6th. So those are considered the notifications for the project.
Okay. Is it possible, just for future projects, knowing that now, and I didn't know that myself, is it possible to make a request if we have an item that is continued that people are noticed again, or is that sort of that procedure set in stone?
I don't believe there would be an issue with that. I think the CPAC can definitely request that. Does the clerk's office have any concerns about that, or?
Hi, this is Flo with the clerk's office. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we could make an exception to do that. We try not to do that just because of the costs that are associated. So it really depends on the project. And I guess if there was a business reason to do it, we would be able to substantiate that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good for us to know, because I think that, and thank you, Mr. Quest, for bringing that to our attention, as I didn't recognize that was part of the process. I think particularly in items where there is the sort of main crux of the item is around community outreach, that we would want to make that exception. So we'll keep that in mind in future if we have projects that specifically relate to that or have a great deal of public comment and interest. So thank you. It sounds like from hearing Mr. Kless that there's been a great connection established with Fair Oaks Water District and a good open line of communication. So he had mentioned materials for the roofing and that would be kind of an ongoing discussion. Just wanted to see if the CPAC members have any questions or comments relating to public comment. The only thing that I had was to confirm that Fair Oaks Water District was okay with sort of continuing that discussion offline, as we go forward, continuing that open dialogue with the neighbors.
and this is Tom with Pharaoh Water. Yes, very much so. And also in the near term for our project on the next planning meetings that are ongoing and any county meetings, if Kimber wants to give me a list of neighbors to contact and give them information on the meetings, I'd be happy to do it on behalf of our customers, our neighbors, and the county.
That's great. I appreciate you collaborating with them. That's fantastic. We'll go through quickly to see if there are any questions about public comment or questions, follow-up questions to the Fair Oaks Water District. So we'll go again alphabetical. Member Bowman.
Questions?
Okay. Member Lease. Yeah, I'll take that as no. Member Starkovich.
No questions.
Okay. Member Walter.
No questions.
Member Wood.
There's the moot. No questions.
Thank you. All right. So at this time, I'll see if there are any members wishing to make a recommendation. And just to remind everyone, we are recommending body, so each one of our recommendations has to be posed as such. So recommendation to approve, recommendation to deny, either one is how they're structured.
This is Ron Lease. I'd recommend to approve.
This is Doug Walter. I'll second.
Okay, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
Member Bowman,
Yes.
Member Lease, Member Starkovich,
Yes.
Member Walter,
Aye.
Member Wood,
Qualified, yes.
and Chairperson Friedman.
Yes.
Okay, and your motion carries
Okay.
with members Korkos being absent. And also for the record, I just want to state that there was no more verbal or written public comment for this item.
Thank you, Drill. And thank you to the Fair Oaks Water District. Thank you, Tom. And we appreciate all the outreach. Certainly went to many lengths to complete that. We appreciate the additional continuance that you requested, needing more time to make that really thorough. So thank you, and we wish you good luck with your project.
Thank you very much. And have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. So at this point, will you just have a few miscellaneous matters? Are there any staff updates?
Hi, good evening again. This is Kimber. We do not have any staff updates.
Okay. Falling under staff updates, there was an email that went out this week about a particular item, and County, jump in if you find that before I find it in my email inbox, that we can request to hear about if we wanted additional information. It was a ordinance update, is that right? Zoning code amendment?
When did the email go out?
I believe it was earlier this week.
Earlier this week.
Did other members receive that as well?
I did. This member would.
Am I remembering that correctly, Member Wood? Was it about an ordinance update of some sort? I think it was here. Environmental review is preparing a zoning code amendment, excuse me, related to emergency temporary use of properties. And they only plan to bring this item before the CPAC upon request from the chairperson. So I wanted to see if anyone had a chance to review that and if anyone had interest in having that presented. Not at this meeting, we would obviously give the county time to prepare, but I just wanted to see if that was of interest to anyone to hear further information about that. Okay, and well, in that case, if anyone is interested in hearing an update, please just take a look at that email. It was sent out on Thursday, September 30th. You should have all received that. If you haven't, please let me know and I can send that on to you. And then just let me know sometime in, let's say, the next 2 weeks if you are interested in getting an update at one of the upcoming CPAC members. If you aren't interested, no response needed. With that, any council member comments? Okay. And one quick question for the county and related to a council member comment. Member Wood, are you still continuing your presence, or did you re-up your interest in the CPAC, or are they still looking for a replacement? I just wanted to make sure that we're not taking advantage of your time.
They should be looking for a replacement. Technically, after 6 years, you're supposed to be off the council for at least 2. And
Yeah,
my was up in February, so.
This is Darrell with the clerk of the board. They are actively looking for people to replace, and I actually think that there was just recently an appointment made. So once we get a new member, and then we will send Member Wood a letter saying thank you for your service. So you will know when you are no longer a participant on the board anymore.
Wonderful.
But, I believe that there might have just recently been an appointment. I can't remember quite off the top of my head, but I believe that there was. But it is, even if there isn't, her seat is actively being advertised, and we're just trying to get applicants in. So.
Okay. And I've been actively soliciting applicants. So.
You're not off until you're told you're off, it sounds like.
Right. Well, it looks like official retirement may be coming soon. And it for any of the members, it is an ongoing pool of applicants that are accepted. So if anyone is interested, as anyone needs to either resign or terms out, I know the county appreciates having a list of interested applicants, and that goes through the supervisor's office, the particular supervisor's office. So with that, I'll see. I don't see any public comment, but I'll just check with Jarrell in case there is any.
And yes, we do not have any public comment at this time for item number 4, and we did not have any public comment for the staff update or the council member comments.
Okay, great. And in that case, we will adjourn the meeting, and we will be back 1 month from now. I believe we're on the calendar for the 3rd of November is when our meeting would be held. Look forward to hearing you all then.
All right.
Thank you, Rebecca.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
You guys have a nice
Night.
evening.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Jarrell. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you.